Welcome to the weekly press briefing of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers, where we aim to provide you with an update on the latest developments at the court and a look ahead at future proceedings. This is also an opportunity for journalists to ask a spokesperson of the court any questions they may have. This week, hearings have taken place in 3 of the cases before the Kosovo Specialist Chambers. In the case of Salih Mustafa, earlier this week, the trial panel heard from a witness called by the specialist prosecutor who testified with protective measures, including voice and face distortion. The witness testified almost entirely in private session due to the identifying nature of the evidence. This witness briefly gave evidence in open session concerning the exhumation of a body in Zlaž, Kosovo. The trial hearings in this case will resume on the 18th of January with the testimony of witness W04485, called by the Specialist Prosecutor's Office. In the case of Hisni Gutsati and Nasim Haradinaj, last week, the defense for Hisni Gutsati presented its case. The first witness to be called was the accused, Mr. Gutsati, who testified for 3 days. The panel heard the testimony of 5 other witnesses who were members of the KLA War Veterans Association and journalists. This week, only one session was held in the case on Wednesday, 15th of December. The Gutsati defense was authorized by the panel to conduct further cross-examination of 2 witnesses called by the prosecution in October and November. Their cross-examination was limited to material disclosed to the defense after the end of the prosecution case. The cross-examination was conducted in private session to protect the identity of witnesses and the security of information. At the same session, the Haradinaj defense opened its case and delivered its opening statement. The Haradinaj defense will start with a presentation of evidence on the 11th of January, as the lawyers for Mr. Haradinaj asked for an adjournment due to the illness of lead counsel. The trial panel stressed that such illness is not on its own a reason for delaying proceedings. However, the panel took note of the difficulties of co-counsel in liaising with the accused in the absence of lead counsel and postponed the beginning of the Haradinaj case until 11th of January, when the accused, Mr. Haradinaj, is expected to testify. Also on Wednesday, the 9th status conference hearing was held in the case of Hashim Thaçi, Kadri Veseli, Recep Salimi, and Jakub Krasniqi. Topics of discussion included a number of issues related to the disclosure of evidence by the prosecution to the defense, the translation of the SPO's preliminary witness list, the status of investigations, and the filing of the specialist prosecutor's pretrial brief. On 10th of December, the pretrial judge issued the second decision on victims' participation in this case, admitting 11 new victims to participate in the proceedings and deciding on protective measures for these participating victims. These victims will be included in the already existing Group 1 of participating victims and shall be represented by the same victims' counsel. In the case of Piotr Shala, the pretrial judge yesterday issued a decision admitting 1 victim to participate in the proceedings. The pretrial judge further instructed the registrar to assign a victim's counsel by 28th of January, 2022. It is important to emphasize that in all of the cases before the Kosovo Specialist Chambers, the process for victims to apply to participate in the proceedings remains open. The winter judicial recess of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers will begin next Monday and lasts for 3 weeks. During the judicial recess period, court hearings are not conducted except in exceptional circumstances. However, the court remains otherwise fully functional during this period, and work continues across all sections of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers. The next public hearing in the new year is scheduled to take place on 11th of January in the Gutsati and Haradinaj case, and the next weekly press briefing will take place the same week on 13th of January.